The red and blue lights from 3 patrol cars reflected off my truck's windshield as I pulled up to my lake cabin. My stomach dropped. My truck bed, once full of groceries, gear, and tools worth over $2,000, was completely empty. Standing smugly beside the officers was Patricia Greenwood, president of the Maple Grove HOA from across the road. "There he is, officers," she announced, pointing like I was a fugitive. "That's the man stealing from our community. I caught him red-handed and secured the evidence myself."
The sergeant frowned.
"Sir, are you the owner of this property?"
"Yes."
"This cabin's mine, inherited from my uncle 6 months ago. The truck's registered in my name, and I have receipts for every item."
Patricias Konfidenz faltert.
"He's lying. This property belongs to the Maple Grove HOA. He's squatting and hoarding stolen goods."
I sighed.
The story really started 3 weeks earlier, when I began fixing up my late uncle's lakeside cabin, a property outside the HOA's boundaries. But Patricia, self-appointed queen of the subdivision, believed her authority extended over the entire lake. The first day I drove past her house with lumber and tools, she ran out in heels shouting, "There are no approved structures beyond this point. Everything past Elm Street is under my jurisdiction." Even after I showed her a deed and a survey map, she sneered, "Maps can be forged.
"I'll be keeping an eye on you." And she did.
Every Friday she stood with binoculars, snapping photos and taking notes. She left fake HOA violation slips on my truck, called county inspectors, and even organized a neighborhood watch to monitor me. None of it stuck. My property was fully independent. Last Friday, as winter neared, I stocked up: generator, propane, tools, food, blankets, over $2,000 in supplies.
Patricia steppet into the road, glaring into my truck.
"No normal person buys this much. You're up to something."
"I'm giving you one last warning before I take official action."
"Official action for what?"
I asked. "Owning a chainsaw."
She smiled coldly. "The HOA board will vote to extend our jurisdiction. Once that passes, you'll need our approval for every nail you hammer." I ignored her, drove to my cabin, and spent Saturday morning installing shelves. At noon, I left briefly for more supplies. 2 hours later, I returned to flashing lights and an empty truck. While the sergeant questioned me, I pulled out my phone. "Officers, my security cameras might clear this up." The footage showed Patricia's white Lexus pulling into my driveway. She glanced around, then began loading my supplies into her car, making 6 trips to empty the truck. Her face and license plate were crystal clear. The sergeant watched in silence, jaw tightening. "Ma'am, you told dispatch this man was stealing from your neighbors, that you made a citizen's arrest and secured the evidence. Yet here we see you taking the property." Patricia's smugness vanished. I was protecting the neighborhood. He's been violating HOA rules for weeks." "Ma'am," another officer cut in, "this property isn't part of your HOA. County records confirm that. You had no right to touch anything here." I handed over my receipts.
The sergeant nodded.
"Jenkins, Rodriguez, escort Ms. Greenwood home and recover the stolen items." Patricia turned red.
"Stolen?"
"I was preserving evidence. I'm the HOA president." "Not here, you're not," the sergeant said flatly. "You're looking at theft and filing a false report, both crimes." The next hour was pure satisfaction. The officers made her unload every single item from her garage back into my truck. Her husband looked mortified, apologizing as neighbors gathered to watch. The HOA board members who arrived were livid. One of them, Janet, stepped forward.
"Patricia, wir holding an emergency meeting tonight."
"Your actions have humiliated this community. I'll be moving for your immediate removal." As the last box was returned, the sergeant pulled out his citation pad. "Ms. Greenwood, you're being charged with felony theft over $2,000, false reporting, and misuse of 911 services." Patricia sagged against her Lexus.
"A felony?"
"But I'm the HOA president. I was trying to help." "You can explain that to the judge," the sergeant said coolly. "Each charge carries serious penalties, up to 5 years in prison and fines up to $10,000. Another officer approached.
"Ma'am, this isn't your first offense."
2 prior false reports and 1 H.